Welcome to Money Matters TV. My name is James Chan. My company is Asia Marketing and Management. I set it up in 1983 to help companies, particularly manufacturers, sell and export 100% American made products and later services to China. We are going to have a good show today. Well, first of all, let me introduce my co host, John Mason.
Good morning,
John
James.
Mason, hi, good to see you again, John.
Good to see you, James.
Yeah, John Mason is the chairman, CEO of New Finance, as you can see. And I think that in the first 8 minutes or so, before I introduce our guest, John, why don't you talk about the Fed, the Federal Reserve, with all the things that are going on? What's going on? What's your view? Give me your take.
Well, the Federal Reserve, James, has kind of set the stage for where we are right now. And particularly since the pandemic and economic recession that has been afflicting the United States, the Fed, late in February, started pumping money into the economy. And since the end of February, they basically have pumped $3 trillion of money into the financial system. And as a consequence, there is plenty of money rolling around. The initial effort of the Fed was to avoid a liquidity crisis, and it seems like they've done a very good job in avoiding that liquidity crisis. The thing that it's set up is there's plenty of money around, which gives us a very, very interesting dichotomy between all the pain and anguish that we see that has been caused by the pandemic and the economic recession. We tend to hear all the bad things that are going on, but there is lots and lots of money rolling around, and it's going into very, very interesting channels. And I think that's one of the major things that is going on in the economy right now is what's happening to all that money.
Well, John, let me ask, uh, a few dumb questions, like very basic questions.
Sure.
If you don't, if you excuse me. First of all, when you say pump money, does it really mean print money? Like we print the money, we just because we can? Is that what it is?
No, the Federal Reserve buys, for instance, a government security,
Okay.
and then deposits the money
Okay.
in a place that the Federal Reserve can that the Treasury can use it.
In other words, again, excuse my being an ignoramus in these matters. That we're not printing money for the sake of printing money. That's
No,
not how it works. Okay.
it's all electronic. It's all like zeros and ones.
Okay. The other thing is, the other day, John, we were talking about bad debt, and to me it has the ring of a very interesting topic. Now, before I hope you can say a few things about the bad debt. But is there such a thing as good debt? Before you start, is there a difference between good and bad debt? I thought debt itself could also be a financial thing, a financial instrument.
Oh,
No?
absolutely. Debt can be a very good thing if it's used properly and
I
is not overly used. The problem is that when you get people relying on it too dramatically, that you can get into serious problems. And we've gone 60 years now, and this is I'm writing a book on this right now. We've gone 60 years in which the Fed has basically followed a policy of credit inflation, a policy in which has underwritten the huge amount of debt that has been created in the U.S. economy. The problem is with creating that debt is that, in particularly creating debt in excess, is that if you run into a bump in the road, like a pandemic, that it can really cause everything to be disrupted. And that's exactly what we've had, is that we've had so much debt created in the economy, and then wham, we get hit with the pandemic, and there has to be a reaction, and that is exactly what's happened over the last 6 to 7 months.
Did you just say 3 trillion?
$3 trillion is what the Fed, they have bought $3 trillion of government securities and mortgage-backed securities since the end of February.
So is it bad debt as you define it? Is that it? Is that
No,
it?
no.
Okay.
And the Fed, what the Fed has done, there's a lot of good that is connected with this. For instance, there is a lot of money around for new companies. There's a lot of, for instance, but there also is creation or use of financial instruments that really are playing a tremendous role in terms of what is going on. One of them is called a special purpose acquisition company, SPAC, otherwise known as blank check companies. Now, what these companies do is blank check. Basically, these companies are formed with no purpose.
Oh.
And the objective, though, is to find assets to buy with all this money so that they can buy companies or other things like that. And there is these companies have been formed, a lot of them with very famous names on them to help attract money. For instance, Shaquille O'Neal, the basketball player, has been the headline of one blank check company that has been formed. Now, what this does is that so you have an offering, gather in several $100 million possibly, and then you use it for whatever you find out there in order to acquire. And then you buy that company, and now you have put the money to use in terms of whatever. The thing is about these companies is that if you don't find something within, say, a 2-year period or something, that you have to return the money to the original investors. But they buy all sorts of companies, and one of the most interesting things that's happening as far as these companies are concerned is that these blank check companies are now buying a bunch of startup companies from venture capitalists. And the venture capitalists, as the story has gone over the last 20 years, have emphasized that these companies should not come to market too soon, and they should build up their product. Well, what the blank check companies are doing now is that they're jumping right in, buying these companies, these VC-owned companies at a very early stage, and there they go. They are owned now by the blank check company, and they are fully operating companies now, dismissed from venture capital. The other things that some people are doing with all this money that the Fed is pumping out is, for instance, they're getting into bad debt, and they're buying distressed debt. Another thing that's happening as far as all this money is that a lot of companies that are in bad shape are issuing new debt in order to carry them on further so that hopefully they will survive. But the problem is here, I mean, and there's been a lot written about this, the estimate is that there are 20% of United States companies are called zombie companies now. These are companies that have to rely on market debt in order to continue to stay alive. So what this money that the Fed is pumped in is doing is allowing some of these zombie companies to stay alive for months or possibly even a year or so,
Wow.
where they would have failed before. So this is one of the things that's happening to all this. And we've got so much debt around, but we've got all this flowing in from the Fed. And a lot of people, most of America does not know what's going on, because they would be pretty angry if they knew what's going on, because who benefits from
Yeah.
this? The
Well, John,
wealthy.
this is a very big topic. I know if I give you 10,000 years, you would gladly continue to talk about it. Now, maybe this is the right moment to bring up a question from our viewer. There is this gentleman in Philadelphia by the name of Tim Gallup, and he would like to ask you, John, M&T Bank is at the low end of its price range now with a nice dividend. Is this a good time to buy the stock?
I am not a real big fan of the banking industry at this particular time, and so I think that there is going to be a tremendous reduction in the number of banks that are outstanding over the next 5 or 6 years. And as a consequence, you're not buying a bank then for purposes of investment, in terms of earning a return over time, because they many banks are going to be bought up and acquired during this particular time. The basic reason that why this is happening is, one, scale, that the big banks are getting bigger and they're going to get bigger. And one of the things that's going to be driving this is going to be information technology. And one of the things here is that you find that really banking is a payment system. And so what is really driving the banking industry is the payment system. And what's happening right now in the world, I mean, we just PayPal, for example, just produced its results. I mean, the growth that PayPal has gone through this last year because of the pandemic. More people are making cashless payments, more people are making online payments and things like that, and that's perfect. But guess who is the shadow that's over all this that's going on? It's something called Ant Group, which happens to come from China.
Yeah.
And Ant Group has a fantastic system called Alibaba.
Yeah.
And the Alipay system is a payment system that is huge, just operating in China by its standards. Well, Alibaba is trying to go international now. They had a $34 billion IPO scheduled, the largest IPO ever to be offered. Unfortunately, for the time being, the Chinese government has put the skids on that right now, but their particular purpose is to go international. And so Ant's going to be there with Alibaba, and that's going to be a huge payment system that is going to probably come to dominate a lot of the world in the near future. Well, this is going to change banking and finance tremendously, not only in the United States, but in the world. And so the bank as we know it now is not going to exist in 5 or 6 years. And so this is one of the reasons why I have a negative view about the banking system is I see it moving to a new stage in which we aren't even going to recognize what it looks like. And this is a response to what's happening right now.
Yeah, John, sounds pretty stressful. But in any case, I'm sure that I have to get you back to talk more. In the meantime,
James.
For our viewers, this is how you send in your questions to Money Matters TV.
You can have your questions answered on Money Matters. Please go to our website, money-matters.tv. moneymatterstv.com. On our homepage, click on the banner on the right that says Send Us Your Questions. While you're on our website, you can find information about our host and guests, as well as show notes and links about this show and past shows. Money Matters is also available as a podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, so you can listen to Money Matters while you're on the go. That website address, again, is money, MONEY, -matters, MATTERS, TV.com.
Welcome back to Money Matters TV. My name is James Chan, and I'm very happy today to introduce our guest, David Donald. He goes by Dave Donald of PeopleShare. Hi, Dave.
Hey, James. How are you?
Very, very good. Well, first of all, I think this is your first time, right, on Money Matters TV.
It is. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, very, very good. So now, tell people something about yourself, and then PeopleShare. I mean, what does PeopleShare do?
So I grew up in the Philadelphia region, been here my whole life. Went to school in Pottstown, went to college at Temple University. So I'm kind of Philly born and made. I love the area. So a little bit about PeopleShare is we're headquartered in Philadelphia. We have 30 offices around the country. We're a staffing company, and we provide people in the area of, we get jobs for people in clerical, office, administrative, as well as light industrial type of positions. And a lot of them are really temp to hire positions, and people may start out as temp for us and then get a job permanently.
How did you get into this business? You must have worked for, at least a sizable, if not a very big company in that same industry. Am I correct?
I did. You are. Yeah, I worked for a national publicly traded staffing company that was also headquartered out of Philadelphia, and I ran one of their divisions for them.
So do you? But you're not a headhunting firm. You're not a recruiting firm, are you?
Yeah, so we recruit people, but we're not headhunters. So we actually recruit people and we place them at our clients where they're on our payroll. So they're our employees. So they're performing work for our customers at the customer location. And after a couple of months, if they like the people, they can hire them directly. So it's a real partnership with our customers.
Yeah. I don't mean to shut out Mr. John Mason. I mean, where is he? He should come on again and ask Dave some questions. I can't be the one asking the questions all the time.
Well, let me ask you this, Dave. I think it's fascinating what you're doing, but your work must have gotten that much more fascinating in the last 6 to 7 months with all the people that I talk to that are looking for jobs and the people that are looking for employees and things like that, and how the job market is changing. This must have really, really kind of disrupted your way of doing business.
Yeah, John, I was afraid you're going to ask me a really difficult question. I'm glad you're asking me one I might be able to answer. So during this whole COVID thing, PeopleShare, we built our company over 15 years, and in 1 month we lost 40% of our business.
Wow.
So it really forced us to do things differently. We had to make some really difficult decisions. And kind of in the last segment, you talked about the Ant Group and PayPal and how things are changing. Specifically how PayPal has grown over with cash payments. We had to do the same thing. We were innovating. We've always been a culture of innovation, but we had to completely change how we operated. Everybody worked from home. Instead of interviewing candidates in person, we had to do it virtually, place people virtually. So we were forced to really innovate in ways that we would have never done that in the past. So while it has been our biggest challenge, I'm glad to say we're back to pre-COVID levels, and we're probably embracing some things that will change our business drastically for the future. You said you might not recognize banks you may not recognize banks in 5 years. Well, I'm not sure we're going to recognize our business in 5 years either.
Wow. Now, Dave, I know that you started your business in 2005.
Yep.
However, you grew your business very fast. I think you now have more than 30 offices. How did you
Yep.
do it, if you don't mind? What's your mojo? What's the pixel dust?
I think you have to really, to grow a business, I think you have to have a plan. But really, the thing that has made a difference for us has been just hiring the best people in the market, getting the best talent. We have some great things that we do, but without the best people in the market to run our business model, it's not going to make a difference. So really, we've been growing by hiring the best people and then treating them right once they're on board.
Mm-hmm.
How do you locate and then attract these top people to your work?
Yeah, so we just have an ongoing quest to find people. So we're always building our pipeline of people, and one of the ways that we've grown is by opening new offices. And many times we'll look for a specific leader in a market, and when we find that person, that's when we'll open. So a lot of times it's people that drives our expansion into new markets. So we're just always looking, John.
Well, like I've run 3 banks. How would you look for me?
I'd probably just watch this show and call in with a question.
Now, John, is your scope geographically? Is your scope nationwide, international, or in the Philadelphia region?
So right now I would say we're probably half of the nation. So we have 30 offices. We range from New Jersey to Virginia, as far west as Chicago. So our growth plan over the next 5 years includes going from 30 offices to 100. At which point we'll be pretty much national in every market that we want to be in.
How much technology do you use, and how do you use it?
We use technology in every part of our business. We don't look at it as the reason for our success, but we look at it as an accelerator of our business. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times we have, positions that clients need our services quickly. And while we have a great database of people, how we reach them in, I'll call it the old days, was picking up the phone and calling them. But now everybody has cell phones. We have texting technology. So we'll actually use software that automatically texts people, emails them, and calls them, so we can reach 1,000 people literally in a minute.
Wow, amazing. Dave, do you consider yourself an entrepreneur, if I may use that word? The word is so commonly used. It's almost overused.
I have a great respect for the word, so I'm actually not sure. I'm not sure if I'm an entrepreneur if I just can't work for somebody else, and maybe that's partially the same definition. But I've had a few businesses. I've had a business fail in the past, which I really think failure is just kind of a step towards success. So, I'm not ashamed of that. But I think probably if you've ever been an entrepreneur and you work for yourself, going back's difficult. So I'm going to say yes.
Do you see? Let me put it this way: do you prefer to build an empire, or you would be happy to do what you enjoy doing without making the pie an enormous one? If you know what I mean.
Yeah, for me, it's a 100%. About passion, and I kind of look at the intersection of finding something that you can be passionate about and also finding something that you can be the best at. And if you can find that intersection, you're going to be profitable, but probably more important, you're going to be happy. And so that formula, may not work for everybody. Some people want to grow and don't care if they're passionate about their work, but for me, I'd rather be small and be the best, and that's what I would enjoy.
What about you, John? Any question, any reaction to that?
Well, I couldn't concur with him more. I think that's very commendable to go after quality rather than scale. And but what you know, to me, what I'm trying to connect, how you connect with people, and how young or inexperienced. I mean, do you look at anybody, for instance, that is just graduating from a master's program or something like that, or what do you work and how do you carry that out?
Yes, I think we look at really we look at talent from any perspective. So I'm a big believer in that. Any type of, it's almost a requirement in business to have diversity in your the people that you work with, because you get the most diverse thought. And one of the things I learned really late in my business career is the power of collaboration. Not trying to do everything on your own, but listening to other people, getting, a lot of, getting the input of other people. And that power of collaboration is really comes from, just every walk of life.
But in terms of your search process and so forth, how are you watching newspapers? Are you watching television? Are you watching news, sorts of outlets that that just catch your eye?
In terms of the people that we're hiring?
Yes.
Yeah, so the people that we place, what we call place on assignment, are our field employees. And again, their skill sets range pretty wildly, but they're mostly, our average pay rate for the people that we place is probably between $16 and $18 an hour. So really the way that we recruit is through so many different resources: LinkedIn, Career Builder, Facebook. We use a lot of like social media.
Thank you. I get a better idea now. Thank you.
We
Thank you.
now have about 2-3 minutes. So Dave, in maybe 2 minutes, what would you like the viewers to hear from you within a very short space of time?
You know what? I think that, again, I'd go back to, kind of the advice that I would give to people that are in their own business, looking to start their own business. Again, along with the, kind of being passionate about what you do, finding something that you can be the best at. One of the areas that I think people really, kind of fail at is being properly funded. John talked a little bit about there's good debt out there, and, making sure that you have enough cash flow, enough money in the bank when you start your company to a point where you can live off of the cash flow that your business generates. That's probably the main area where people fail. It's not their ideas, it's not their execution, it's just lack of funding to keep them going.
Yeah. Well, John, your last question, and then I have to close the show.
I'm fine. Dave, it's been great talking with you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we should get you to come back and talk more about the bad debt. I'm fascinated by the topic. I really think it's a big topic. In any case, thank you, John, and thank you, Dave, for being on the show today.
Thank you. I think I'm going to start.
Yes.
I said thanks. I guess I am an entrepreneur because I want to start one of those blank check companies.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, our next show is going. Our next guest is going to be Michael Dever of Brandywine Asset Management. So I hope you will come back and watch us again, and see you very soon. Thank you for watching Money Matters TV.